Aw, yeah. Come on, Skywalker, let's kill Luke. Oh, God. I'll get him, sir. Oh, yup, he killed him. Yup, yay. But I helped, guys. Take this, bitch. Told you to fuck with Vader. I'll get him for you, Lord Vader. If I can't beat Vader, I'm definitely going to be that guy that sucks up to Vader. I ain't trying to get force choked. Not trying to fucking get force choked. Damn, that dude was getting force choked. Damn. Damn. That dude was getting force choked on top of shot. He was getting shot and force choked. God damn. So as you may see, loving the hell out of that beta. This is episode 17 of the Foxhole feed. Loving the Star Wars Battlefront beta thus far. This episode's going to cover my beta impressions of both multiplayer modes, my impressions of the single player mode, my impressions of what they're saying with the DLC and stuff, and a whole lot of other news. There's a lot of other news regarding this that we're going to be covering, so yeah. Now, my initial impressions about the actual Battlefront beta in terms of its single-player portion, the missions, they have it under something called Survival. And from what I played from it, it's like it's very much like the original Battlefronts where I never really felt they were, I would say, they were not what I thought you would define as campaigns. Where it's like you were kind of on a multiplayer map and the mission was always like basically a multiplayer objective with bots. That's sort of what that, was. And the missions are, in this game, are essentially that. So I know there was this whole debate about this game not having a campaign mode. But from what I've played, I think it's the same thing. They're merely changing the name of it, probably due to that they don't believe that that's what you would call a campaign mode, thus DICE doesn't label it that. Now, what I was playing is, you're just regular, rebel guy, and you're, shooting some stormtroopers, and they'll give you a mission, and you have to, do this and defend a pod from a wave of enemies, and you'll fight an AT-AT or excuse me, an AT-ST. Excuse me, I learned things. So you don't have to fight these guys, and you could also do it with co-op. And from what I've seen on the menu, there's different difficulties in terms of like how hard you could make it. There's one where you have to like beat it without ever dying or something. So there's lots of variety that I think that could come from that. But I don't see it being anything spectacular. Don't expect it to be anything like Battlefield's single player or Call of Duty single player, really any single player. It just looks like it's just some, offline fun that you could, have with the game. Nothing supreme. I would never buy the game for it, but then again, I would have never purchased either of the Battlefronts for their single players. I don't want to say their single players were like dreadful, but their single players were not something I would brag about. They were not the best. They were not the best things. They were like maybe I remember them differently, but it's like actually I don't agree. I don't even agree with that statement. I don't think I remember them fondly, because I think I recall them not being great things. Like it's basically multiplayer, with bots. I can't explain it any different than that. I mean, even though we're talking about 10 years ago, 10 years ago was still a lot of great titles came out 2004, 2005 when those first two games released. You're talking about like Fear and Doom 3 and Halo 2 and Half-Life 2 and God of War, if I already stated that, and Resident Evil 4, and there was lots of great titles that came out around that time. So there is no excuse for here's a multiplayer map and here's some bots and let's call it single player. The AI was laughable. It was a fun distraction from the multiplayer, but you would never buy that title for its single player, and I would say definitely with this, don't buy this for its single player, because its single player is nothing impressive. But the multiplayer, my impressions on that, it's fun. I like the power-ups, and I feel the power-ups definitely could work. They add lots of variety to the game. I like the map sizes. I like that they vary depending on mode. The map on Walker Assault, that snow level, looks amazing. It's huge, and it lends to the really, really, really big mission that you're trying to do in terms of you're trying to achieve. The rebels gotta basically destroy the AT-ATs, and it's like not feasible. That's one of the biggest downsides I would say about that. If I would go any deeper into that, is I would say it's something that clearly needs to be patched. It needs to be fixed. I think they know that. I can't. It's not like this is a mystery to them. They understand that they need to fix and patch that, because it's appalling. It's disrespectfully appalling, and it's just like, you can't win. If you're the rebels, you have to understand that you won't win. That's it. The second you go, against them, you go stormtroopers, you're going to win. It's that simple. You're going to win. You play that in the beta, and you were easily going to win. There was no damn way the other side was going to win. So it was horrid. It was just like, I got to the point where, if you guys, I'm going to link some, the videos, or if you guys could check out our playlist of Battlefront, of the multiplayer stuff I was playing. If you check it out, you'll notice that at one point I just stopped wasting my time with the objective on the beta, because it's like, I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun trying to essentially fight off an unwinnable mission. Of me playing it, I don't think I've ever played in the beta. I'll look back on some of the footage, but I don't recall ever, because I played the beta basically all recorded. Everything from my first time playing it to touching it is recorded, and it's up on our channel. So if you guys go and take a look at our channel and look in playlist and look in Star Wars beta, you'll see from beginning to end everything I actually played, for how long I played on there. That's about how long I really did play it for. I don't recall ever even playing it without filming me playing it. So I have a little bit of time with it, and I don't like what I played in terms of that one mode. That mode needs to be fixed. And I think they already know that, so I won't go too deep in that, because they have to know that there's something like completely unbalanced and broken about that. Now, the other mode that they had there, that wasn't the mode. I don't recall the name. All you need to know is it's not Walker Assault, but it was called something Zone. Drive Zone. It's probably not even Drive Zone. Probably just making it up. But it's the other mode that wasn't Walker Assault. I liked it. It was sort of like, you captured a specific area, and after you captured it, you had to defend it. So these drop pods fall. You go and you basically you set whatever would be the alarm, or whatever is the thing you were setting on the drop pod, and basically you have to defend it. The other team has to come and stop you. Now, the cool thing about this is not like it's these specific set locations and it just happens. The drop pods basically just randomly drop in these certain locations, and you don't really know when these certain locations it's going to pick. It just randomly happens. So it gives the team fair balance, and it gives them fair understanding of who could get to it first. The only thing I would say is that if you're leveled up and you have the jetpack, you're essentially able to get to some of these drop pods a slightly faster than other players. I realized that when I was playing the first couple times, and I leveled up in the single player, and I got the actual jetpack, I was able to get to those drop pods fairly quickly. My second night of playing the beta, I didn't have the actual jetpacks, and it was a pain getting to each one. You just felt like a losing battle getting to each one. Another thing is the player size. The player size on there, when you have 8 versus 8, the thing that sucks is it's an 8 versus 8 that's extremely strategic. You have to be, or it's, I want to say strategic, it's very absolute. You have to have 8 players. There's no way that, if ands or buts, if you're out one player, it's going to be stacked against you. It's that simple. If you're out one player, you're screwed. It's going to be stacked against you. If you're out 2 or 3, don't expect to win the game at all. You might as well back out and leave the game. It's that decisive when you have more, players. They just have more to defend. So there's not a lot of leeway to win the match, and that's something that Battlefield has always sort of had. Battlefield has always had it where if you're that one guy where you're trying your best and you're giving out ammo and you're giving out health and you are being the best whatever fucking class you happen to be at that time. And any of my buddies who play Battlefield with me can attest to this, that if you are being the best person that you can be at that class, you can assist that team in winning. If you're always reviving, if you're always giving out health, you're always giving out ammo, there is a way, and even with the numbers stacked against you, you could potentially help that team win. There's always that fun type of you could do it type of attitude. On this game, you don't have too many things that can help you in that regard. That's my only issue, is in it being very arcadey and not really having any key specific class things. It makes it very hard because you're all essentially, with the exception of the small changes you could make to your loadouts, you're almost all essentially the same. So it makes it very hard to kind of seek the objective and have something that you do for the team that could allow the team to essentially get help, other than, hey, I'm headed towards whatever to defend it. If you could tell them that that's what you're doing, but other than that, there's not much you can do. So I hope they balance that out, fix it out, do something to fix that map. Other than that, I liked that game type the best, and I only didn't like Walker Assault because of how unbalanced it is. I like the concept of Walker Assault. I like that you have 2-tier objectives. I like that it's like you either go and you set your small team to take down these drop link things, or close down the little satellites, or you go after AT-ATs, or you capture key specific points where you have your man turret to take down the AT-AT, and if you're all focused on taking one particular one down or something. So I do like that you can potentially have that. Now, I didn't do anything with the vehicles in the actual game. I saw in the survey that it said you could. I didn't do anything with the vehicles. I don't tend to use any of the vehicles in the Battlefield games, and I'm carrying that tradition over to this game. Overall, liked it. Now, on to some latest news regarding Star Wars Battlefront. Now, this might not be 100%, latest, greatest news, relevant nonetheless. This game is not going to be having any microtransactions, which EA states that the game's not going to. I have a couple theories on why I feel they're probably going this route. If DICE doesn't want the game to have its, I guess, fan base, how can I say it, fractured, and they don't want to have it fragmented and, some sides here and some sides there, I think it's smart for them to not have microtransactions, only because I don't think they want to have one side having, more power, or the other side having, I don't think they want anything that's sort of like that in terms of people buying stuff in the game that's allowing them to have any type of advantage. Now, I get that you could have cosmetic stuff, but I think they just want to have it where everybody's sort of on the same playing field, even if they're not having cosmetic stuff. So they're basically saying everything that's in the game you essentially can earn with credits in the actual game, which I like, that they're not essentially doing the, you could buy a hat or a special stormtrooper costume, which I don't normally, care about too much. But there's a couple things that I feel that could go wrong with it. While I was playing the beta, I sort of theorized that, okay, let's say you're playing against sides, because something happened to me during the beta that, made me think of that. I was playing, and from switching, from Rebels to Stormtroopers, I was playing Solid Dude, and in my mind, I almost completely forgot that I was now the other side, and I was running with these two people, and it dawned on me that they weren't on my team, and then I began shooting them and killing them, and I was like, oh, okay, you guys don't belong here. I don't know why, and that happens sometimes. That might happen, like if you're playing a game and you have those people that look like. In games like Battlefield, it's like when you're playing against another side, sometimes you're going to have it where, most times in Battlefield, or all the time, it's going to be one nation versus another nation. But when you're playing the actual game, you can't really see those small changes in terms of, the Russian dudes versus the Chinese dudes versus the American dudes. I visually can't see those things. When I'm playing, I'm essentially just looking to see that you don't have anything above your head, or you don't have anything outlined to tell me that you're a buddy. That's the only thing that I'm looking for. So other than that, you see those things. In Team Fortress, there was a difference. In TF2, you have an outline of specific character classes that you could recognize and see and understand. When they're on the other side, you could recognize from afar who they are. In this game, because they have the stormtroopers and they have the rebels, and stormtroopers all look alike, and your rebel dudes all look alike, you understand fairly quickly, very easily, who's on whose side. If you had customizable characters, I think if you have it where for a split second you didn't shoot because you did not recognize this person was either on your team or not off your team, because of the cooldown of your weapon, who wants to shoot off their weapon accidentally just to have to wait for a cooldown because you mistakenly, thought a person was a friend or an ally or something like that? You don't want to have to, I guess, doubt yourself because somebody got some ridiculous costume on. So I agree with everybody being uniform for the sake of the fairity of the game, and having it where if we're going to give some sort of customizable stuff to anyone, give it to everyone. So that way everybody could recognize what these things are and they could wear them themselves. So that way it's something not foreign to every person playing the game and doesn't hurt the game in that regard. I didn't really think that was a big deal until I was playing and it happened and I accidentally shot, or I shot these people and I was about to not shoot them and I completely forgot that I was on, I switched teams, or not switched teams, but now I was a different, side after the match was done. So I'm okay with them choosing the side. Now they state that, the progression based system is based on gameplay performance, and it seems like that's what they want to keep it on. So I'm kind of fine with that. And other news regarding content that's going to be coming to the game, they announced a season pass, which I know a lot of people are getting in their feelings about. They're getting in the feels. So the season pass was announced for Battlefront, which is this day and age, just to be expected. I can't even say anything negative regarding that. There's nothing I can say negative regarding it. It's, this is what it is. This day and age in gaming, that you're going to get season pass stuff in terms of DLC and post-launch content and all that fanciness. I won't really get into anything about stripped content or cut content or any of that fucking nonsense, because this game is sort of launching with traditional number of levels. It's launching with like 14 maps or 12 maps, and that's a reasonable amount of maps to launch with in this day and age in terms of the complexity of those maps. That's a reasonable amount of maps. I can't complain about that. So I do like the season pass that they're doing. Though I'm probably not going to purchase the season pass day one. It's nothing against the season pass. It's actually just based on me personally not really buying anything like that until I've invested a specific amount of hours into the game and decide that I want more content. Most times I'm able to put in 400, 500, even 600 plus hours into like a game, never buying the DLC. We're talking about like our generation, or my generation, I would say, went through gaming when you didn't really have lots of expansions. So when you're talking about console gaming, early 90s, you didn't really get those type of stuff. So in a period in time when I was gaming, that's not something that we got a lot in console gaming. PC gaming, that was a normal thing to get an expansion on every game type, period. That was a normal thing. But in console gaming, you didn't really get that too much. So we played GoldenEye, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Probably sunk thousands of hours in GoldenEye, and Perfect Dark and Conker's Bad Fur Day and all these other games. We sunk so much hours into them that I don't think we really cared too much about, whether we got extras or not. Of course, we would love to have gotten extra, but that never really took away from us anyway. So this season pass, $50. It's going to be 4 expansions. And it's also for, you get the little 2-week thing where you get something more exclusive. I believe you just get it 2 weeks early before everybody else. Yeah, that's not too terrible. From DICE's expansions, I'm actually excited for them. DICE has always done a really, really, really good job on their post-launch content and their expansions. Like the Battlefield 3 and 4, if you add up the number of maps, it's almost like 30 plus. It's almost like 40. It's a lot of content you're talking about post-launch, which is great. If you want to play the game for a long time and you want all those maps and you want all those other feature things, by all means, purchase it. I know a lot of people have been adding it up and saying it's almost like $120 or $110 and whatever. If you feel that it's worth it to have a game that has over 30 plus maps or 40 plus maps, if you feel that that's something that's completely worth it, go ahead, and purchase it. I don't hold that against any person, because if there was a period in time, like I told you guys, if we could have bought and spend another $50 to get extra maps in GoldenEye, we would have done it. If we were playing Smash Brothers today, like me and my friends were playing Smash Brothers when we were kids, on the N64 in 2000, if they were to say, you get this extra cartridge to Smash Brothers, we'll give you an equal number of levels or double the number of levels, we would have fucking paid for it. So I mean, we say this now about, downloadable content and all this other mess, but the reality is, if you were to given us the opportunity to pay to get more content, for a game, we would have paid for that. And this is by all means extra content. I don't know of any of the Battlefield games launching with 40 plus maps or anything ridiculous like that day one. No, that's not normal in gaming. But these maps are nice extras for anybody who wants to. I don't think game modes are going to be part of the map. It sounds, part of the season pass. It sounds like it's actually just going to be map expansions. I don't think they want to fragment the market too much on that. Now, with some news regarding the actual beta itself, I love stats. I love numbers. So if you guys ever hear me talking about stats or numbers or facts or any of that shit, I fucking love them. Love stats, love numbers. Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront, EA has confirmed that 9 million people downloaded and played Star Wars Battlefront beta. EA sent out something stating that the Battlefront demo that came out, essentially, or excuse me, the beta that released, is one of the biggest betas in EA's history. EA's never had a beta as big as Battlefront, or as many people have logged in as Battlefront. I think a lot of this might be telling to how well the game might do. I predicted for a while that this game might have Battlefield type legs in terms of doing well, but I'm starting to think that this game might do like way better than Battlefront. Than Battlefield. I don't know. I'm starting to think that only because it's like when I'm playing it, I feel it's like it's easier to pick up. That's first off. Like, it's not like Battlefield where it's like you have a crap little loadouts and you have, your side weapon and your main weapon, and then you have your gadget on top of your side weapon and your main weapon, and then you have all these other, things. I find that some people feel a bit intimidated by Battlefield in terms of all the options that you have. Star Wars Battlefront is a game that even if you don't really play those type of complex games, you could jump in and play Battlefront very fast and very quickly without really having to get used to it. It takes me a while to get used to playing a Battlefield game, and I'm a person that's been playing this series for a very, very, very long time, and even I have to sort of get used to playing a new Battlefield in terms of the nuances, and have to get used to using the gadgets and sort of get my feel with the class. I always tend to use one class for a little bit before I warm up to other classes when I get a feel from it. So it's like after a while, you have to ease your way into it. This game, you don't need to do that. Like, as soon as you sort of find a weapon you might like, it's fast to just change weapons. It doesn't really get that specific. Even when I'm using the weapons in the actual game, I don't necessarily even have a weapon that I'm like, okay, here's my long range one, here's my short range one, here's the weapon I use for this situation, here's the weapon I use for that situation. All of the weapons essentially feel like you could just use them in every situation. I don't want to say like they're interchangeable or cosmetic or anything like that, but they're damn near it. I mean, so I felt okay using all the weapons, and I never once felt that, okay, I'm using it for this particular reason in this area. In Battlefield, when I select a specific weapon, I'm selecting it based on what I'm doing. I'm selecting it on how far I'm projecting the enemy to be, how much enemies we're, expecting to have. So let's say for an example, let's say we're playing Rush. If we're playing Rush in Battlefield and we're defending, I'm going to choose something like a light machine gun. I'm going to put on a tripod because I plan to lay down. If we're playing on an area that has lots of like dark areas or dark spots, I might put on night vision. So I might attach all those things and set myself down in a certain area to defend whatever the objective is. So if the objective is from afar, I might be a little bit away to let the enemy get that sense of, I guess, that sense of being safe, that sense of that nobody is over here at this point in time right now. So I might go there, lay prone, set it down and mount the the light machine gun in a certain spot, and just wait for somebody to go and try to get it so I could properly defend it there. Now that's what I would do in that given situation. I'm particularly picking a weapon, picking a loadout, and picking all the settings that I would want, even like the zoom stuff. If it's far away, I'm going to get one that's a little bit farther. If it's not, then I'm not going to get an optic that's farther. So I'm choosing all those things for my particular situation to fit the thing I'm doing at that very time. Now what this means is, if that's not what I'm doing, I will not have any of those same parts. Those parts would just be completely changed, and my entire weapon is changing. My class may not be changed. Sometimes I'll choose that class, but I'm choosing it for different reasons. I'll change the weapons, I'll change a whole bunch of stuff to get by. It's just how I play that game. I don't feel that with this game. I don't feel that I play Battlefront and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, so I'm going to choose a weapon for A, B, and C. It doesn't ever get that complex. It doesn't ever get that strategic. It never aims to be that strategic. So I feel that this game is much easier to jump in and play. Where I'm sort of getting at with this is that if this game is getting 9 million people playing the beta, I mean, even though, yeah, we know the beta's free, we know that, anybody could pick it up and anybody could, purchase it because it's completely free. That's still a big deal. You have to understand that many of EA's games had betas. I can't even tell you how many. A lot of their games had betas. It's not like it's a surprise to anybody that, they released a beta for this game, because they do with many of their games. Now, to have it hit 9 million people playing it and downloading it, I'm starting to believe that this game is going to do better than Battlefield. I didn't believe so before, but after playing it, I'm pretty sure it will, because it's easier to get into. It's not as, deep in terms of the strategic stuff that you have to do in Battlefield. It's nothing like that. So because of that, it's like Battlefield does like 10 million units, every entry, at least 10 million or so. I see this game eclipsing that 10 million mark. I see it happening. So I see that this might be telling of how well this game's probably going to do in the future. Now, in other gaming news, non-Star Wars news, that's right, Capcom has revealed that one of their studios is currently working on VR, which is kind of awesome. It's their Studio One team. Is working on a Resident Evil title, apparently in VR. What's interesting about this news is potentially that the team that does actually do that, who actually works in that studio, has only done, to my understanding, Resident Evil. When I looked it up, they only did Outbreak 1 and 2. Could this be Outbreak? Maybe it's Outbreak 3. Who knows? They're saying that, they've delivered on this very experience with their kitchen VR technical demo. If you guys want to see the impressions from that, I cannot find any footage of this game, The Kitchen, that was at E3 that Capcom did. That's like this weird horror thing in VR. Now, if you guys look that up, I'll put a link on the bottom for you guys. You could see people's reactions to it, and people have only described what it was. I've never actually seen it, and I cannot find it anywhere. So people have basically just been describing it, clearly because they probably can't out it, and Capcom doesn't want them probably outing it on there. I think they want to have people imagine what people are scared of, apparently. Now, what's interesting about this is the team that's doing this, that also did other games like Hunting Grounds and Beautiful Joe and some other titles that they have. I mean, them only having Resident Evil Outbreak and Outbreak 1 and 2 under their resume in terms of VR, I know it's a far stretch to say Outbreak 3, but I mean, it's fair to think that maybe that they are doing Outbreak and it's going to be in virtual reality, or it could just be any other Resident Evil being redone with VR in mind. So, or it could even be, now that I think about it, Resident Evil Light Gun type game in VR, because they've done Chronicles and Survivor, and they have a whole slew of series that completely just do VR stuff. Now that's just on some recent news. Just speculating of what it possibly could be. It's been a pretty long episode too. Like 5 in the morning. It's not even 5 in the morning. It's actually, yeah, it's gonna be 5. It's gonna be 5 soon. This has been episode 17 of the Foxhole feed. You guys stay tuned for episode 18. It's gonna be on what, Friday? Weeks going by fast. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the support, and yeah, that's game.